Hi everybody, Adam here. Welcome back to our Lego room. Lots to show you guys today. We're going to do a full room tour. Been making a lot of progress with a number of projects around the room. Excited to be getting closer to having the layout all back together post train show. It's been a bit of a project, but happy with the progress we're making there. So lots to cover. Let's dive in and get started. So first off, starting in the stairwell leading down into the Lego room. This first part of the stairwell hasn't really seen any changes. We've got our Mickey, Batman, the Gotham City, and if we look around to this side, the Spaceman and the awesome Rolling Stones artwork there. Looking to make some changes here though, looking to add a few more mosaic builds to this wall. Hopefully that'll happen in the next week or two. I've got a few sets that I have not built for a while that I have planned to put up here. So I'd like to get those out of the way and add them to this part of the entryway. We've got lots of wall space here. So I think it'll look really nice if we can start to fill some of that in. Now turning around so that we are looking at the stairs as we're coming down into the Lego room. We've got our world map area here and then our ledge showcasing just a wide variety of builds. Quite often put some of the more recent builds that I've finished that don't have another place to go at the moment on this ledge. You'll see there's the race car driver, Big Fig. Got a few botanical sets here. Definitely would like to add more to this part of the walk down into the Lego room. Could see at some point putting some shelves up here to highlight some larger vehicle builds. And as we keep coming down here, you'll see we turn the corner and we've got more art pieces, which is nice, some more space to fill in there. And then we also have our Speed Champions display area. Have not spent a lot of time on this in the last little bit, but looking to build that out. And because this is here, I think, it would be extra cool to have some of the larger vehicle builds on display as well in and around this area. So definitely something that I will be looking at in the next little bit. Now, as we turn the corner and head down towards the Lego room, we've got the Mona Lisa and the awesome sunflower artwork here on the wall. And then we turn this way and we've got our Brickhead wall. I've been building more Brickheads of late. Definitely want to get this wall finished up or at least more complete in the coming weeks here. There's a lot of, basically have almost every Brickhead set, minus a few of the ones that were a little more difficult to acquire, but definitely want to finish getting these built, figure out a nice order for them on here. Might be kind of cool to do them by release number, but I love this as a display wall coming down into the Lego room. I think the next chunk that I work through building will be the Star Wars themed ones. Looking forward to the few new Brickheads that they released for Star Wars Day arriving in the next few days. So it might be a good time to just make a push through and get all of those Star Wars ones built. But love the way this wall is coming together. And I think as we get this all built out, it's going to be extra impressive. So looking forward to continuing to work on this area, and it just makes for a fun, another fun display area on the way down into the Lego room. Now, looking at the first part of the Lego room here, you can see this is always the chaos part of the videos when I show this part of the room over here. It's actually a lot better than it's been. I've been making some really good progress with tidying this area up, getting things sorted, incorporated into builds. Still a ways to go, but making progress and looking to, in the next few days here, make another big chunk of progress against this. I've got a bunch of the parts still here that are going to be used for the vinegar factory. I've been working through getting a bunch of them sorted out, so that pile is shrinking. But I'm going to start in on that large complex build on top of some Mills modules, which I think is going to look awesome and will give us another big factory industrial area, not only for the layout here in the Lego room, but will be cool for us to be able to take out to shows as well. And I've been making some pretty good progress on the part sorting for the four locomotives that we are working on putting together at the moment. So this area is getting better. We've got a lot of parts through these various bins here that we are working on sorting, getting organized, doing some rough sorting to split plates from bricks, Technic from, bricks, trying to get things slowly moving in a direction where it's much easier for me to find the parts that I need. So this is a big focus for me over the next week or so. I really want to get to the point where I'm back to it being super easy to move around the perimeter of the layout. It's getting much easier. You'll see as we kind of walk around here, it's much easier for me to move through certain parts than it was for a little while there around the train show when things kind of went nuts in terms of, stuff everywhere, but we're getting back there. We're getting close. So happy about that. And, in addition to making it easier to move around, it's really going to help with some of the builds we have in progress or upcoming here. So happy to be making progress there. We will talk more about parts and part sorting in an upcoming video, but really happy with how things are moving there. And part of the cleanup there has come from the build that we're working on over there. You'll see our Bricker Builds display area over there. And we're about 3/4 of the way through Mario. Mario's gonna look awesome. Can't wait to finish that build off. Just waiting for a few more parts to come in, and then we should be able to finish that build off. And I think that he is going to look amazing. Really happy with the Charmander, the Pikachu, Shy Guy, Diglett, and we've got a lot more Bricker Builds projects upcoming. So that area is really going to start to flesh out over the next little while and expand. They're going to be basically ringing that whole shelf area there, filling that entire space, which should be a lot of fun. And then we will continue up with some other builds that are going to be displayed up the wall on that side of the room over there. But making some good progress on Mario. He is, in some ways, he's surprisingly big. In other ways, not crazy big, but he's going to be taller, I think, than all three of these guys here once he's done. I think he'll be taller than Charmander. So, really impressive to see how that build is coming together and looking forward to finishing that off. It's just one of many projects that will be nice to finish off, and we'll tidy up some of the different parts of the room because the parts for that will be all, built into the finished model. Now, worth noting over here, there's a few containers. I've had these around for a bit. I got them at IKEA, and looking to add those to a few parts around the layout. Going to be getting those in place soon. I've shown you guys in previous videos, I think, we've got this space over here where we've got some nice plastic baskets attached there for batteries, remotes, etc. for use around the layout. And I'd like to have a couple more spots like that around the layout. There's a few other things that I find myself using regularly around the layout. We quite often use brick separators. There's some core parts that we frequently use for, updating mills or various things like that. We've got battery packs that we have for our lighting that are commonly found around the layout. So looking to add a few more bin stations, basically, or little sort of cubbies around the layout where we can easily store and access those, and keep things off the layout and keep things in a place where it's super easy to find when we are moving around the layout and sort of in need of a particular piece or support item. So looking forward to getting those in place and starting to make use of them. Now, as you can see, compared to previous videos, we are making some pretty good progress on getting the layout back together. Always tough when things come apart for a show. Sometimes things go back together pretty quick. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get things sorted out. I am taking a bit of extra time this time when in putting things back together to look at some of the ballasting and tile patterns underneath some of the corners, underneath the T-junction over there, so that I can make use of those as we are starting to put together the mills modules and all the ballast for the track that's going underneath the layout. We'll take a closer look at that in a moment, but basically, as I've got things separated here, I've been taking the opportunity to kind of go back through, document the ballasting and the tile patterns via pictures and video, so that I can use that as a reference when I'm working through all those modules for the lower layout. Makes things a bit slower. It's a little unfortunate, but it'll make things a lot quicker as we're moving through the lower layout. And, pretty happy now with how things are coming together. Things are getting much clearer up on top of the table, which is one of the key first steps to getting things back together. You'll notice we've got the T-junction back in over there. Really love that module. We'll take a closer look in a moment, but with that back in, we just need to stick in a couple of straight track mills modules over there. And basically we're super close to having the two mainline tracks all continuous again. The section over here is going to go together pretty quick with the corner there and the straights going down the backside of the city there. So feel pretty confident that in the next, I think probably in the next day, but let's say in the next day or two, that we will be able to get the trains running around the layout again. Always a great milestone, and helps to drive along some of the progress once we get close to that. And then once trains run, it gives us a real sort of focus for things that we want to finish off and achieve. So that's the big push over the next day, is going to be to finish getting all of this track back together and located where we want. Most of the modules survived pretty well. I've been, as I'm taking stuff apart to take a look at the ballast underneath, I'm, fixing up little things here and there that I see. I've got the grain elevator back together. There still are parts of that are, coming apart a bit, not quite as structurally together as they used to be, but I'm getting things back into their location and sort of hooked back up to the layout so that everything's sort of in its spot. It'll make everything a lot cleaner and organized around the room. And then we can kind of go back through and start to revisit some of these builds that need updates to fix up, that need some rebuilding. So, first things first, the layout's going to come together. And then we'll move into some of the repair projects, some of the lighting that we want to fix up and redo around the layout. There's a number of train cars that need to get fixed up around the table here. So lots of stuff ahead, but, exciting to be getting closer and closer to having the working mainline tracks as well as the yard all back together again. You notice we still have a number of parts out on this part of the layout here. I'm moving those things off gradually to clear the space up again. I'm putting them all into my office area at the moment. That's where I'm doing a bunch of the building projects. And, then we will, as we're moving through that, we'll try to get the parts organized sufficiently in these various containers that they can go back into the Acro Mills storage system over in the corner here. Always a big project when you're doing a lot of sorting and organizing, but it really does start to, at least for me personally, I find it very motivating as, things really start to pick up in pace. The more and more the tabletop gets cleared up here, the easier it is to move things around, and that just helps sort of accelerate things. The more parts are sorted out and in the containers, the easier it is to find stuff. So I find the builds start to go faster. So really starting to hit a good sort of velocity with some of these projects. So looking forward to what I think we'll be able to accomplish over the next week or so. A couple things to note on this side of the layout here. We've got the one wind turbine that's all hooked up and should be functional. And we've got the other one that was a casualty of when we were putting the ceiling layout in place. Like to get those fixed up and get them reintegrated into the layout here. One of the things you'll notice as we're moving through sort of post getting the track all set back up, I'm going to make a big push here to have Mills modules everywhere so that basically, I want to get to the point here very soon where you don't see any of the tabletop. It's all just Mills modules around the layout. I want to make, as part of that, a big push on starting to flesh out some more of the road modules around the city. Really think we're close to the point where, we can be 100% Mills modules on top of the layout here. I think that'll be a fun milestone. I think it'll be cool to not be able to see the wood anymore, to just see, modules everywhere with different terrain and the different industries, etc. So that'll be a big push. Want to get the wind turbine set up. We've got as I mentioned before, we've got the one Mills module base here, and then there's another one behind me over here that are going to be the foundation for the vinegar factory. Those will get some attention in the coming days here. And the vinegar factory is going to sit over in this part of the layout here. Expect the wind turbines are probably going to sit there and there, or maybe there and there. We'll see as those come together. But want to make a big push to not only sort of clear this end table space over here so that we can have the tracks all running through, but really getting to that next stage of having Mills modules everywhere. I think will be a lot of fun, and it'll help be a forcing function to finish off a few of the projects that I've had lingering for a bit. And that includes the Eiffel Tower. I really want to get back there and finish that off so that we can get the great lighting kit that we have for that all hooked up and on the go with all the other lighting we have around the layout. Now, looking back this way, a different view of the room than we sometimes see. One of the big pushes that I've got on the go here at the moment that you'll start to see some results of in the next few videos, making a big push on some of our display areas. I've got a few projects that are going to be populating that shelf over there. And I've been making progress on clearing this shelf out here because there's a few builds that I have in the queue that are going to go in there. I think that's going to be the ship shelf, or we'll call it more transportation shelf, because I've got a couple of boats. We've got the Titanic and another, at least one or maybe two ship builds that are going to go in here. I've got the Concorde, which I'm hoping will go maybe up on the end over there. This has been something I've been looking at for a while, and I really want to get a handle on it and get some traction on the builds I want to display there. With the Winter Village starting to come together underneath this part of the layout here, we should be able to start moving our Winter Village buildings off of that shelf and down below soon. So looking forward to that. That's really going to help clear things up. Been making good progress on the under table, like getting all the Mills modules together. The big difficulty when it comes to especially this end of the layout here, I want to have the white tiles, or white plate, I guess is really what I want. White plate for the top of those Mills modules, and 4x8s and 4x4s of that white plate. Super hard to find. I've got a bunch coming in over the next week or two here, which will help us finish out a few more modules under there. But that's going to be the interesting thing, and probably the limiter for me on how fast the Winter Village area goes. It's just super hard to get the white plate that I want there. I think I can get more creative once I get away from the track modules. I can start to use some other colors underneath things and only have sections be white, or I can have just some different shapes of white brick / plate that are used there. But that's one of the challenges I'm facing at the moment with the Winter Village part of the Mills area for the lower layout. But making a big push. You'll see this is kind of a theme around the room. We've been starting to make some good traction, getting some builds going. Really want to get some of these display areas opened up and usable so that we can clear out some of the builds and boxes that have been blocking certain areas of the room or making it hard to move around. Get those things built out of the way and into their final display areas. I think this is going to be a really cool view over here, really cool display area, and looking forward to starting to get some of those builds in place. Also, while we're here, I'm really looking forward to running some trains around the upper part of the room again. The Union Pacific train is the next one I want to run up here. It's been challenging with all of the chaos post-train show around the room. It's hard to move around enough to get things up onto that ceiling layout and to have enough access points around the room if I need to, get up there and make changes to the train or make changes to the track. But I think we're getting close to the point again where we can run trains easily around the layout up there. So looking forward to that. That's another big milestone that, looking to hit in the next week or so here. I mean, it kind of goes, I want to get trains running on the top of the layout. I want to get trains running on part of the lower layout. We'll see that in just a moment. It's going to be a bit before I get all the Mills modules in place underneath, but I really would like to get some of that track together so that we can just start to put trains through their paces down there. And then, it'll be trains up top here again, which will be a really exciting thing to see. And, really hoping that we can get to that point very soon where we basically have trains running on all 3 levels at the same time. I think that's going to be a really awesome and exciting milestone. So lots of projects on the go over here, but progress is happening. And like I said, things are starting to accelerate, and I'm excited about where things are headed here and looking forward to continuing to build and sort of flesh these areas out over the coming weeks and months, looking for some short-term gains to see, some improvements and see what things can be. But ultimately, some of these things will be longer-term projects before they're completely done. Looking at the lower layout here, you can see this is the Winter Village end of the layout here. We've got our track loop that will connect into the mainline loop that will run over there. Lots of Mills modules on the go. Been working through ballasting and getting a couple of corners ready. So still waiting on a few Bricklink orders to come in, but as those start to come in, we should be able to have this end done with, get the track all mounted there. And we'll be well into working on this side here. Really looking forward. This is probably the end that's going to be where I'm trying to get to Mills complete first, at least with the track loop, and then we'll kind of fan out around the room. But a lot of it, like I said, is going to come down to just how easy it is to get the plate pieces that I need, given that white Lego plates just don't seem to be as prevalent, at least in Canada, as I need them to be. But we'll get through that. We'll figure it out. Like I said, if I can just get the track here mounted on white Mills modules, I can probably be a bit more creative with the parts that I use for the interior parts, especially when you consider that Winter Village buildings are going to be getting mounted on stuff. Not everything needs to be white underneath there, right? There'll be a lot of brick that you can't see. So cool stuff ahead there, but that's sort of an ongoing project and what I'm working on there. Now, looking at the main loop part of the lower layout, you'll notice here I've got the bridges out at the moment. That's the benefit of having the lift out bridges, makes the middle part of the layout accessible from over here. Still on the go, I got some paneling in. It was the wrong size. I don't know if that happens to you guys, but I ordered slightly the wrong size for the panels that I'm using to clean up and fix up the lift out bridges here so that they're consistently colored. So I will get the proper ones in soon, and then we can get these lift out bridges polished up and ready to go. They are perfectly functional now. I love them. They work great. I just want to have consistent coloring and panel types for the bridges. When I was getting them all put together, I was just really making use of whatever I had on hand. So it's kind of a mix match of different colors, but I think it'll look great when it is all consistent. I do still want to add another row of 2 bridges on one side or the other, probably on that side over there. So that'll be a project probably later in the summer. We'll add in the extra bridges there, but love these here and can't wait till they are integrated into the rest of the track down here so the trains can run continuously. We have not made any additional progress down here. You've seen most of that track and where it's located at the moment. We had all the ballast in place for the track, but now it's at the point where it needs Mills modules to go underneath. but my plan in the next week here is to hook all this track together to show basically what the track geometry should look like underneath here. And that should allow us to run trains from basically right over here in this corner all the way around back down there into the T-junction and right over to the edge of our small T-junction. So that'll give us a nice view of what the track geometry will likely be like under here. And then we can just continue to make the big push on getting everything mounted onto mills so that we've got a fully mills functional train track under here, which will be an exciting milestone, but one that's still a little ways away because this is going to be we've got a lot of mills modules ready to go, but this is going to be a very parts intensive process. So we'll push through that as quickly as we can, but it's definitely going to be in stages down here. But I think that'll be a fun milestone to have the trains able to run along and try some of the different track switches and paths through the layout. This sort of, call it about half of the layout under here. It's going to be nice with there'll be the four tracks here, 4 tracks wide, the R120, and then I'm blanking now, it's the R120 and R120, R104, R72, and then R56, I believe is what we're going for. I will have to look again at the track boxes, but the outer two are going to be the same as what we have up top. That'll be R104, R120. But, I think having the 4 tracks moving around there, obviously the inner 2 tracks that are the lower radius, probably not going to be able to run every single train over those, but I think that's fine. I think just the ability to have basically 4 trains moving around parts of this layout at times under here would just be really cool and fun to see. So that is definitely something that we'll be working on getting in place section by section, and we'll see how quickly we can turn that into a fully realized layout underneath here. Now, super easy to get into the middle part of the layout with those pull-out bridges. I feel like it has been a while since we have worked on the city part of the layout. Like I said, I want to get the roads moving along again. And we've just got a bunch of modulars to put onto mills modules as well, and to get the power running through them. So that's definitely going to be something that we're going to start to pick off, 1 or 2 of those buildings a week as we try to push through this section of the layout. Will definitely be a lot easier to work over here once the layout is completely back together. We can get some of these trains back onto sidings and sort of open up the space a bit more again. Obviously, all the trees are going to go back onto their appropriate mills modules. Just one of those things, there's so many parts that come apart when we take stuff out to a show. Love doing the shows, but it is a challenge when you're getting things back together and, sort of placed properly around the layout again. So big push here to clean this up as we're getting the layout back together, and then really want to start getting back into a regular cadence of builds along here to just polish up, tidy up, and get the city moving forward again. I think there's a lot of cool buildings in here, and as we flesh out the remainder of the buildings we have planned for this part of the city, I think it's going to be very cool. And, also with that, excited to try out some of our lighting again. It's been a while since I've run the lighting on the layout over here in the city, but just in general. So that'll be one of the things that I try to hit in the next 2 or 3 weeks here, as we tidy everything up, I really do want to do a lighting test again and see where we're at. We've been making some pretty good progress with getting lighting worked into the train yard and industrial area. So I think that's going to really add a lot. And like I said, as we push through that Eiffel Tower, the lighting kit for that looks amazing. So really excited about seeing that and putting it through its paces as well. Just going to highlight again our shelves that we have over here, displaying a number of different Lego builds. I haven't had as much of a theme or a plan behind these shelves as I want to. I've got some new thoughts on how we're going to shift things around in here. So not much more to talk about really at the moment here, but just know that we're going to be focusing on these shelves in the next month or so as we start to revamp this and make it a little more organized, a little more theme driven, starting to head there a little bit, with some of the space builds that I'm highlighting over here and trying to work some of the space ones into this first set of shelves here. But a lot more to come on that in the near future as we start to push forward. And one of the things you're going to notice here, I've got a whole bunch of projects in mind that will be great Mills modules, but not all of them are going to fit into the layout at the same time. There's a number of things that I've been kind of avoiding or not doing because I didn't know where they would necessarily go in the layout. And we're going to stop worrying about that. We're going to start putting some of these things together. And even if Mills modules don't fit into the layout as it looks today, they're going to go on to Mills modules. They'll end up in these shelving units over here, or they'll end up in storage in some cases. And then we'll kind of rotate some of those things through as we make updates to the layout. They'll be available for us to take to train shows or other shows that we display at. But lots of Mills work ahead. And even if we don't have an immediate spot for it to live in the layout, we're going to put those together so that we can have them at our disposal. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to free us up hopefully a bit. We'll get some things built that we were otherwise just kind of sitting and waiting on because we didn't have a spot for them at the moment. But fun things ahead, I think, on that front. So one other area I want to highlight for you guys, this is our Lego office over here. Still very much chaos. I've been doing a lot of work in here, a lot of organizing of parts, train magazines, Lego magazines. There's a lot of stuff going on in here and probably will be for a long time, but I really want to, this is just another area where I want to kind of tame things a bit. We want to get a bunch of builds done and organized and really start to clear some space for more stuff to move through the Lego room in general for building and sort of processing purposes. Really love the posters and display items we have both around the exterior of the room here. And as we move into the room itself, it's great having, the extra shelves in here. It's a lot of fun opportunities for displaying finished builds, but, also lots of stuff that needs to be done to clear up and organize parts. It may not seem like it. That part pile over there is way better than it's been. There's a lot of parts I've been going through and getting organized. And as I mentioned, there's a number of Mills modules that I'm looking to build and add. I love model railroad magazines and just train magazines in general, a great source of inspiration and of ideas. So processing through those, coming up with some, some priorities and some different projects that I want to work on. We'll talk about those and kind of go through those in upcoming videos on the channel, but definitely another part of the Lego room here that will be getting a bunch of attention and love over the next little while as we organize and get things, sort of build momentum, clear space for stuff to be worked on with greater ease, organize stuff so it's easier to find what we need as we're building, which will help increase some of the momentum. So exciting, and also just lots to do as well, which is also exciting. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that look around the Lego room here. Lots of improvements, lots of work still to be done. And kind of the overarching theme, as I stated, want to continue to increase the ease with which we can work down here, getting stuff organized, put away, built and displayed in a nice way so that we open up some of the floor space, that we open up some of the table space here, and, really start to build some momentum as we head into the summer here. It's a great time to be working on a variety of projects. We've got a show in the fall that I want to have some new things ready for to display and showcase. And, like I said, a lot of fun projects ahead that I want to work on here, whether they, get incorporated into the layout here or whether they're for shows that we go to, or maybe we set up, another location with some builds and, layout. I think there's a lot of opportunities ahead, and looking forward to all of those things. I think it should be a fun few weeks here as we continue to move through some of these initial builds and getting the layout back together, but definitely a fun several months ahead as we continue to move into some of these new projects that I'm thinking about and, really push forward our display space here. Now, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. And like I said, next milestone that I'm pushing towards here is having trains running around the layout. So that should be one of the next video or two that you see, which should be a lot of fun. Always exciting to get the trains moving around the layout again. Just opens things up so that we can not only work on buildings, but we can also start to get some train builds going again, that can then be run around the layout and put through their paces. So lots of fun stuff ahead. I will see you guys again soon. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye.